Now we're getting into the fun part, the actual building of an activity plan and how we go about that. And it's in little tiny steps. It is how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So we're going to start with, does this activity have a theme? Does it fall underneath of a book? Is it in part of an overarching theme that is lasting for a week, for a month? If so, that way they can be put together with other activity plans, put in a box, and then saved and used for later. Then the age group of the children. Is this for the young ones or the older ones? Because as children get closer to 2, they're going to be more likely to be walking and having some sort of language. If they're young ones, they may not be walking yet. They may just be sitting and pulling up to standing. So identifying what age group it is for. As children get older, it can be a little bit more vague. If you have someone who is in the 3s class, it might be just all of your 3s because the development physically is a little bit slower at that point. What they're actually building upon is a lot more information, and so the age range is a little bit bigger, so that you can identify that. So being very specific with that age. It's helpful for you to remember and to keep in mind what developmental milestones are typically seen during that age range. It also makes it easier for people to recreate these, and it can set the expectations of what should be expected within this learning age group. And then the number of children. Oftentimes people want to plan an activity for 20 children. Planning an activity for 20 children means that you have 20 separate individual development. And so that can be a lot to plan for when you're talking about differentiation. So keeping small groups. I like to keep them the number of that they are old. So if you have people who are 2s, then you can have 2s. And focus on 2 people. If you've got 4s, then when you're talking about a group lesson, you can have 4s. You can do it for a large group of children. It just takes a little bit more intentional planning when you're going through that. And oftentimes when you do an intentional teaching with a small group of children, the other children are going to be on the periphery. They're going to be seeing what you're doing, and having that understanding when you create these activity plans and your group size, knowing that the more groups that you pull into and the more times you do this, the quicker that the other groups are going to catch on, because they are going to be on the periphery and they are going to be somewhat passively learning about what's going on and what you're presenting to them. And again, don't be afraid to create this so that you can present it over and over and over again. And going across that timeline, if you've got one that's young 2s, middle 2s, and older 2s, then that can be recreated for each one of those age groups.